The Old Kent Road was very crowded on Thursday, the 11th of October, 1928. People spilt off the pavement. There were women with shopping bags. Children ran out. There were sales at drapers' shops. Streets widened and narrowed. Long vistas steadily shrunk together. Here was a market, here a funeral, here a procession with banners upon which was written in great letters, Ra, Un, but what else? Meat was very red. Butchers stood at the door. Women almost had their heels sliced off. Amorvine, that was over a porch. A woman looked out of a bedroom window, profoundly contemplative and very still, apple-john and apple-bed undirt. Nothing could be seen, whole or red, from start to finish. What was seen begun, like two friends starting to meet each other across the street, was never seen, ended. After 20 minutes the body and mind were like scraps of torn paper tumbling from a sack, and indeed, the process of motoring fast out of London so much resembles the chopping up small of body and mind, which precedes unconsciousness and perhaps death itself, that it is an open question in what sense Orlando can be said to have existed at the present moment. Indeed, we should have given her over for a person entirely disassembled, were it not that here, at last, one green screen was held out on the right, against which the little bits of paper fell more slowly, and then another was held out on the left, so that one could see the separate scraps now turning over by themselves in the air, and then green screens were held up continuously on either side, so that her mind regained the illusion of holding things within itself, and she saw a cottage, a farmyard, and 4 cows, all precisely life-size. When this happened, Orlando heaved a sigh of relief, lit a cigarette, and puffed for a minute or two in silence. Then she called, hesitatingly, as if the person she wanted might not be there, "Orlando?" For if there are, at adventure, 76 different times, all ticking in the mind at once, how many different people are there not, heaven help us, all having lodgment at one time or another in the human spirit? Some say 2052, so that it is the most usual thing in the world for a person to say, directly they are alone, "Orlando," if that is one's name, meaning by that, "Come, come, I'm sick to death of this particular self, I want another." Hence the astonishing changes we see in our friends. But it is not altogether plain sailing either, for though one may say, as Orlando said, being out in the country and needing another self, presumably, Orlando, still the Orlando she needs may not come. These selves, of which we are built up, one on top of another, as plates are piled on a waiter's hand, have attachments elsewhere, sympathies, little constitutions and rights of their own, call them what you will, and for many of these things there is no name. So that one will only come if it is raining, another in a room with green curtains, another when Mrs. Jones is not there, another if you can promise it a glass of wine, and so on, for everybody can multiply from his own experience the different terms which his different selves have made with them, and some are too wildly ridiculous to be mentioned in print at all. So Orlando, at the turn by the barn, called "Orlando," with a note of interrogation in her voice, and waited. Orlando did not come.